Welcome to Own It, the podcast where we talk to real estate thought leaders about embracing your strengths, taking your career to new heights, and owning your future.
We're live from Side by Side in almost sunny San Diego.
Almost sunny San Diego,
with my chatty co-host, Spencer Kroll.
Chatty co-host, thank you. I'm talking to one of our guests so we can kind of have an easy conversation.
I know. You're doing it all in good spirits. Our wonderful guest, Brett Jennings, founder of Real Estate Experts. Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to having you on our podcast since I heard your amazing episode on Meredith Fogel's podcast, and I was a little bit jealous.
All right. Yeah, well, I like the cross-pollination, too, so this is good. Brett, I got to ask you a question. I've heard you speak at these things several times. I'm always looking forward to it. You are one of the most negative people I've ever met. No, you are so absolutely positive. So I want to ask you about the shirt that you have on, which if you are listening to the show and not watching it, it says Good Vibe Tribe.
Yeah.
What's the story?
The story comes from another story. We were inspired, my team and I, were inspired by a podcast done by Ed Milet, and it was a story called The Greatest Transformation Behind Bars. And it's a remarkable story of this guy who gets sentenced to 63 years in prison. He was kind of a privileged white kid growing up, just got caught up in the wrong stuff. And his mom, in the sentencing, put it to him. She said, we didn't raise you like this. And through whatever the series of circumstances that happened, he has a meeting with somebody who'd been in there a long, long time. And he said, you got to choose to be one of three things: a carrot, an egg, or a coffee bean. Because this environment, you got to pick what you're going to be. And he says, if you become the pressure of being in prison, we'll make you one of these things, but you have a decision. And if you go soft, what happens when you put a carrot in a pot of boiling water?
Yeah.
It goes soft.
Yeah.
And he goes, you will be subject to the whims and all the different things that will happen to you in here. And he said, if you decide to be an egg, what happens with an egg when you put it in water?
Hard-boiled.
Yeah.
It becomes hard. And he said, if your heart becomes hardened, you will be in here forever. If you get out, you will never be a functional human being. And he says, you could choose to be the third thing, and it's a coffee bean. And what happens when you put a coffee bean in water?
Yeah, I have breakfast. That's
that's Spencer's breakfast
I've had 8 cups today, but yeah.
It changes the water.
Yeah.
It changes its environment. And that was his point. It's like you can choose to be a point of emanation. Rather than be a place and a person that receives vibes from the environment, you can choose to be a point of emanation. And that's what Good Vibe Tribe means, is we all collectively kind of bought into this idea that, hey, we're going to be these points of positivity as we go out and show up in our business and our lives and our world.
So this is a theme that I see with Brett, is that your background with Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra and that kind of mentality of taking your life in your own hands and sending it positivity out in the world is a huge part of Real Estate Experts. So I would love for you, if you'd be so kind, to share your story in a very condensed version, since we don't have 2 hours, because that's how long it would take, the good details. But your journey into real estate and really understanding from a sales perspective how giving back really actually brings it to you.
100%. Really what started for me, I don't want to say everyone. There's a few unique people that chose real estate as their chosen career, maybe as they graduated college, like Gary Keller got a degree in real estate, right? But the majority of people backdoor into real estate. And the same was true for me. I was kind of on my growth journey coming out of college. Some of the things that put me on that path to growth was I took a meditation class in college as an elective. I was like, well, I'm not going to take basket weaving, so I'll take meditation. And we had to meditate 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week for 12 weeks. And that one experience changed my life. The heavens didn't open up for me. Buddha didn't appear. Jesus didn't appear. But my grades got better. My relationships got better. I'd started a business in college. And it was just like there was this flow. And I was like, I can't put my finger on it, but I know enough to know that whatever this is good. And I'm the kind of person that if a little bit of something is good, more is better. That's not always true, but
that's Spencer and whiskey.
It's got me into trouble at times. But more than not, it's led me to great places. So, at any rate, it led me on this journey. I went and meditated with swamis and yogis in India and Buddhist monks in Japan, and that's ultimately what led me to the work with Chopra. But in my business building journey, I got involved with Tony Robbins. And I was on his mailing list and went to one of his events, and I was just like, you know what, I want to work for this guy. And so series of great coincidences led me to work for him. I spent 2 years traveling the world, walked on fire more times than I could count, burned my feet a couple times. But the work was amazing. And I realized when I finished that, I'm like, I want to do business and life coaching, but I didn't have enough, quote, life experience as a 26-year-old kid. At least so I thought, to do that. So, I went out on my entrepreneurial journey and I started a financial services company. First was my first business after college. And I grew that business to about 300 clients. And I'm the kind of person that, you can see patterns that start showing up. And I saw that, wow, there's a pattern here. Out of some of my best clients profile, they were somewhere between their late 40s to mid 60s. They owned 5 to 20 rental properties. They had $10,000 to $50,000 a month in passive income coming in, a 7-figure plus net worth. I'm like, and they weren't doctors or lawyers. So I'm like, check, there's something to that. I think I want to be in real estate. So I sold the business and didn't make enough money to retire on. And so I thought, well, I'll go into real estate as an agent to learn the business, the market. And I didn't have enough money to invest either, so I thought I'd start on that path. And that led me in to real estate. So I actually started as a lender. 2008, it wasn't great timing. Many people probably would say from the outside looking in, I got my license 3 days before Bear Stearns collapsed. But that, in hindsight, was also great, right? It was a thing where I saw that I didn't know what hard work was, and I didn't know what it took to get a deal done. It's just what it was. So that was how I calibrated the level of effort that I had to put in. And so that was a great foundation for me. So 2008, 9, 10, the market was still going through that downward cycle. I chose to focus on short sales. If you were going to do well, you were either going to do short sales or foreclosures.
Right.
And so I started a short sale company, and it really took off, primarily from this spirit of giving. I think after I got my second transaction done, the title company called me and said, hey, what are you doing? Because we've starting to see lots of these short sales stack up in our escrow offices, and we haven't seen them since the 90s. And most agents are taking 4, 5, 6 months to get these things done, and you're getting them done in 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Would you be willing to share with other agents what you're doing? I'm like, I'm not an expert, but I'll share what I know. And that I taught, I think, 4 classes for North American Title. And at the end, they were all standing room only with these offices. And at the end of each of those sessions, I have agents walk up to me, give me their card, say, hey, I got one of these coming up. I'll work with the homeowner, you work with the bank, we'll split the deal. So it was my second year in business. I ended up with 200 short sale listings.
Wow.
That's amazing, because when I was doing short sales in 2008, 9, it was just part of the business. And as a lawyer, I understood the bureaucracy process. So for me, it was just more paperwork and tedious, but it got done. But the other agents that were in my community were beyond baffled. They couldn't wrap their head around it. So your systemization and just rinse and repeat cycle is something that I've seen in your career, where you create a process, you hire the right people, the right team to run it, and then you go to the next bigger and better thing.
And that's exactly what happened. I ended up having a staff up. I realized once you did one of those, you realized you had to sit on the phone for 2 hours for every one of those things every week. And I had 200 of them. So I quickly built up a team of processors to do that, built a process. And then that was great for a number of years, and until I also knew this is a cycle, it's going to change, and I better start thinking about what it would look like. And that was when I decided to build a real estate team. And that was, I think, 2011, 12. I saw that this was going to be winding down. And those skills transferred well. I was building a team, building process, finding great mentors to follow. And from 2010 to 2014, it was good. I think in 2012, I hit my first $1 million in GCI. At the time, price points were $400,000 or $500,000. It was 53 transactions. And I got stuck there for a number of years. And in hindsight, when I look back on it, it kind of ties into this conversation about being a giver and contributing. I was, from 2011 to 13, I was focused on the money. I was just hey, I want to make money, and what I want to do when I finish making money is buy real estate and go coach people. And I had a good friend and mentor who kind of put it to me. He's like, dude, you're this great coach. Why aren't you coaching agents in your business? And I'm like, well, I really don't have agents that want to be coached. I didn't at the time, honestly. They weren't really that growth-minded. And as soon as I really got clear on that, everything changed. Spontaneously, I had one agent call me, say, hey, I'm leaving the team. I was like, uh-oh. The next morning, or on Monday morning, I walk in the office, another agent says, hey, I think I'm leaving too. And in hindsight, I realized it was kind of God knocking down my sandcastle saying, hey, let's do this right. And when I was really clear on the purpose, within a week, I got a phone call from an agent who reached out to me, said, I'm just coming off a divorce. I've watched you for the last 7 years. We started at the same time, and you've consistently grown your business every year. And I'm just coming off a divorce. I want to be a better dad. I want to build a better business. And I think you can help me do it. And so I was like, okay, let's go. And then within 2 weeks later, I had another person so it just became this passive attraction thing. So I got really clear that when you're really dialed in on your purpose, there's, and this kind of ties into this good vibe tribe thing, the energy you create from will determine the level of effort and the order of results that you create.
You walk on stage, and I've seen you speak several times. Even I believe I saw you speak at your old brokerage as well at a convention. You have this incredible positivity when you hit the stage. No, but there's like an energy. Like you hit the stage, and I remember thinking like, I want to be this guy, which I've never really put in the work, sadly, that it takes to do it. But I mean, I watch you on stage, and you just seem positive from the moment that you walk up. Was that something that you had to develop, though, or did you always have that?
That's a great question. So through the practice of meditation, you learn that what you really are is this pure positivity. It's just covered up with a lot of thinking. And when the mind quiets down, whether it's you're with a partner, your spouse partner, sitting watching a sunset, and the majesty of the sunset takes your breath away, and you just feel this innate positivity, that's the real you coming through. And so through the practice of 30 years of meditation, just constantly, going back, they call it a practice because it's a practice. If you sit down and meditate, your mind's making noise. And hopefully, you get a few minutes or moments where that mind quiets down and you get that connection. And so I think for me, it's just been that practice, because what you are at your real core is that innate positivity, just covered up with lots of thoughts.
I mean, do you ever get people that cannot get in the positive space? Like because you're talking with agents, is it resistance to what it is? Like when you see them stopping growth or something?
This is an interesting conversation where it could take us here. When I say like you are pure positivity, covered up with lots of thoughts, as a meditation teacher, I don't know who did this study and what it was to figure this out, but it's estimated we have about 50,000 thoughts a day. Okay. The only problem is 95% of them are the same thoughts you had yesterday. And when you do get quiet and you sit and you kind of look at the nature or investigate the nature of these thoughts, most of them are survival-based thoughts. It's like, it's trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you alive, trying to protect you from judgment of other people. And that all comes from, it's all survival-based thinking. A lot of it comes up from just little trauma and stuff that people have. People go, well, like for me, I wasn't abused as a child. No one, told me I was worthless. But it wasn't until I started doing some deeper work that I realized it was abandonment. My parents just weren't around. But what's interesting about that is a lot of that survival-based thinking comes up in the life experiences that you've had. And until you do that deeper work to just kind of gradually see that stuff, thank life for bringing it to you, then it no longer has that impact over you.
So you went out on your own and created Real Estate Experts and founded that company. And I think it was 2 years ago where you had a goal at the beginning of the year to, I'm not even going to say the number, but you exceeded that number tremendously.
Yeah.
So I want to know, because the number that you're going to tell the story about usually is like a big corporation, like a big box brokerage, but you and your amazing team based in Silicon Valley, California, Northern California, did this, and I want you to tell that story and how you set that goal and what it felt like internally when you just obliterated it.
Yeah, so it was a really great experience, and the goal you're talking about was $1 billion, to sell $1 billion of real estate in a year. The funny thing was, in reality, it wasn't even at the outset. When I first wrote that goal down, it wasn't really my goal, and I'll explain to you why. 6 or 7 years ago, we started doing this planning process. It's called a one-page strategic plan. You write your vision, your values, and what you're about, and what your marketing offering is, and then you look at a 10-year picture, a 3-year picture, and a 1-year picture. And so we're filling this thing out, and in the 10-year picture, I was like, 10 years? I don't even know if I want to be in real estate in 10 years. But, okay, well, if we're going to be in real estate, it'd be cool to sell $1 billion in real estate. And ultimately, like, that's really how it happened. Because when we started working with this plan, this planning process, every 90 days, just honing in, we started to shoot, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we could actually hit this thing. And probably the turning point, though, we started having some good success, and other companies started taking interest in it, and like, we're making an offer on our company, and I realized they looked at our agent count and productivity and all this, and I had a goal to help. Initially, it was like I wanted to help agents make their first $1 million in GCI, because it's a life-changing experience for people. When they hit that, even if they're working inside of a team, they're going to net $400,000 or $500,000 a year. If they're an independent agent, they're netting $700,000 or $800,000 a year. It's life-changing income. And so I'm like, okay, I want to help 5 agents make $1 million. And we did. And then we started getting people interested in buying the company. And then when they looked at the company, I realized, wow, for every agent that I help make $1 million, it nets the company about $200,000, or grosses the company about $200,000. And that ends up being, adds a $1 million valuation to the company. So every agent that I help make $1 million makes the company worth another $1 million. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. It's kind of like a harmonic, divine design, whatever you want to call it. I like to say it's, Zig Ziglar had the saying, you help enough people get what they want, you'll automatically get what you want. And so that was the turning point that shifted, where I was like, okay, let's just focus on helping 100 agents make $1 million. And that next year, we helped 9 agents make $1 million, and we hit $1 billion.
That's amazing. That is so cool.
Yeah.
And it's all because of service. It's not about you at the end of the day. It's about helping others and create their own family, financial freedom, stability, generational wealth.
But it's a journey getting there, right? Like, I mean, there's, I don't know if you all studied in high school or college psychology class, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, you got to hit those first needs first. But at a certain point, more money doesn't change your life. All the happiness studies have shown that depending on where you live, it's somewhere between $60 and $100,000. That the happiness factor doesn't really increase that much. So then it's like, well, what game are you going to play? And for me, it's just I'll call it the psychic income, the emotional income that comes from pouring into other people, far surpasses the economic income, and now it just seems to be cascading.
Do you think you could replicate what you do? I mean, I don't know if you can necessarily get the same numbers, but replicate what you do in almost any business? I
believe so. And that's what I feel like my legacy work. I'm sorting through right now. This is just kind of documenting my journey. So I'm not saying how to, I'm saying this is how I did this. But my goal is to take the company to 10 billion in sales. And I think I'll have some meaningful insights to share with bigger business about how to think about and, it's because it's not about organizational structure. It's really about the not even mindset. Like, you get to a certain level, and what we're talking about goes beyond the thinking mind, because logical mind would tell you, hey, if you put your priority on other people, you're not going to do well. But there is a principle in what's called conscious business that is now proving out that you can do good and do well. In fact, those companies that are aligned with this kind of mindset outperform the, quote, good to great companies on the 5, 10, 15-year time horizon. In the short term, they don't do as good out of the gate. But it comes back to what game you're going to play. You're going to play the short game or the long game?
Well, I think that goes back to when a lot of people are afraid of starting or founding their own real estate company and they are told that their personal production will go down in year 1, which is almost always true. But it's because they're working on their business, in the business, and they're not looking at the 5-year, 10-year horizon. So what kind of insight or encouragement or reality check can you give to people who are on the fence about, let me leave this big box and go do it myself?
Yeah, you really have to get clear on your personal purpose. And for me, that was the game-changing insight that I told you took me in I think it was 2011 or 13, where I was really focused on money. It was a really powerful exercise my coach had me do. It was a eulogy exercise, and it was, let's go to the end of the line. You're passed away, you're floating around at the back of a church, synagogue, whatever. Who's there? What are they saying about you? And if you really take that exercise to heart, it's profound. I remember it moved me, and what I saw was like, a lot of people were saying lived a fun, amazing life and shared a lot of great experiences with people. I loved, there was I was going to die tomorrow. Learning, I was always learning and growing, and I was helping other people do the same. And so I really dialed that in. And once you get clear on that, the decisions that you need to make will become clear. And whether you are to be a real estate leader or a team leader, that will become clear to you. But an exercise like that takes your small self out of the way.
What just blew me away, they're talking about small self. You said, well, my goal is to do 10 billion. You just said it. Obviously, it's a goal that you have. There was no hedging to that. There was, and you kept going with the sentence, and I'm like, wow, $10 billion. But Fear's like, yeah, 10 billion. That's just what the goal is. It's just a number.
It's just a number. It's just a number.
Yeah.
So what does the structure of real estate experts right now? How many agents do you have, teams, substructures, that kind of thing? Because I do know a handful of people that are in real estate experts who have the same mindset, that are like, it's not about me, it's about now my team. How can I help them get to that million, to the 2 million, whatever that is?
Yeah, so right now, currently our team is about 90 agents, and I think we have 25 or 26 staff. We're staffed up for more growth. We probably could do with less staff if we were just going to stay at that level. But of the 90 agents, we have 5 teams. About 40 of the 90 agents are on teams, and 50 of the agents are independent. So we run a hybrid model. I have a personal team called Brett Jennings Group. It currently has 18 members. We'll probably grow that to 12 this year. As a real estate team, I feel like between 8 and maybe 15 is the sweet spot. If you have less than 8 as a team leader, you're getting pulled back into production because always somebody's sick, somebody's on vacation, that kind of thing. And over 15, it's just hard to keep that kind of really tight culture. I call it, we're not a family business, but we are a business family.
Yeah, I've been inside for 4 years, so I've got to work with your company over the 4 years, and I've seen this ridiculous growth over that time. The number of agents that you've brought on just in the past 4 years, I think, is I don't know if it's doubled.
Yeah, I think we went from about 50 to we got over 100. And I can tell you, for everyone listening or watching, bigger's not better. not always. And to your point, Hillary, it is in these growth journeys, whether you're a solo agent and you go to become a team, you're going to go through the no man's land. And the no man's land is somewhere between like 30 and 80 transactions, or 40 and 80 transactions, where if you're adding staff and agents, your profitability goes down before it goes up, and you're making less money. So again, you have to be in it for the long game. In order to be in it for the long game, you got to know why the heck you're doing this. Yeah. Because otherwise you'll hit the wall and you'll give up. Yep. And then you'll say, why the hell did I do that? But just now, granted, I've just gone through and still am moving through one of those stages right now. So although I sit up here and like we've sold billions of dollars of real estate, it's not all pretty all the time.
Yeah, I'm sensing that real negativity from you. But what's amazing, but also the journey that your agents have gone on, because I don't talk with you very often, but I talk with your agents all the time, and you have one agent who I saw grow who's gone to like these ridiculous goals and then hit them. Yeah. It was like, oh yeah, I have a listing coming up for it's $120 million listing. It's like Elon Musk's property or something. And I'm like, what are you, insane? And it's like, yeah, I got it in escrow for 80. I'm like, oh my god, but sometimes it's like you don't know what you should be afraid of, so you just do it. And I know somebody, when they did their first deal, they said, well, what do you charge? Like, what does someone charge on your commission? And she didn't know because she didn't have a coach, and she said, oh, it's 10%. Now we're talking in a 6% world. She said 10%. She didn't blink. The person did blink. Oh, okay, because she didn't know better. She didn't know what the limiting factor was.
It's almost like your own limiting beliefs are holding you back.
Yes, and so what do you do when you hit the wall? Do you ever hit the wall, I guess?
Yeah, we're always kind of hitting your own internal limits and breaking through them. An exercise that I've been giving my team members when we coach, or some of our team leaders, is you can't see your own limits, right? And so sometimes the ability to kind of find those limiting beliefs, you only know when you just can't seem to break through. But a powerful exercise that we do is something called ideal scene and future self. Ideal scene is pick a day, like 1 to 5 years in the future. A perfect day in your perfect life. I wake up, it's 6 a.m., I go down, I get my coffee, I sit with my wife and get off to the gym, whatever it is. Life is feeling great, my kids are doing great. In first person, present tense. And then once you really dialed that in, then it's taking a step back and asking, who's the person I need to be to live that life? Because in the work that I did with Tony Robbins, one of the most powerful things I saw him do, where you can watch the movie, I think it's called I'm Not Your Guru on Netflix. Brilliant. But you'll see how he does transformations with people. Somebody who's suicidal and completely turns them around. What he does is he shifts their identity. Because the strongest force in the human personality is your identity. And people will do whatever they need to do to be consistent with the internal identity that they hold from themselves. So rather than trying to find these limiting beliefs and where's my glass ceiling, if you can shift and literally consciously create a vision of who you need to be, stated in the first person present tense, I am this, I am that, I am doing this. In all what I call the 8 gardens of your life, your business, your relationships, spiritual, fitness, all of it, then, and you put it in the shower. Shower is a great place to be because I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but do you ever get great ideas in the shower?
Oh, yeah.
I get great ideas on the treadmill.
On the treadmill?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the thing about the shower is the white noise. Like, there's something that you're relaxed when you're in the shower, you're not doing anything, and the white noise from just kind of tying in the thoughts about meditation. White noise is there's nothing for your brain to grab onto in that shh sound. Mm-hmm. So you naturally get into this creative alpha state, and you're very, very impressionable. So you put that in your shower, laminate it, read it every day, and lo and behold, you'll see like things start showing up. And those little things like decisions to eat this or that, and you go, and there's just something in the back of your mind that comes forward and it's like, no, I don't need to do that.
Yeah, I want to hedge on that, though. I think the ideas. Well, no, I think I have great ideas in the shower. I just want to say I do. You know, like other people.
Well, yeah,
might
you should
come
have
out.
like a whiteboard and write them down.
I like this.
You do.
But that is really cool.
Yeah.
When you're talking about all of these ideas, and I've heard them. You hear people talk about this throughout, and maybe you try it for a week, or you try for, like we were talking about meditation. You do meditation for how many? 12 weeks for whatever.
Yeah, it was 3 months.
Yeah,
For 12 weeks.
That's smart to do in college. Actually, that's very clever.
Yeah, but you felt the transformation happen for you as you were doing this. So if people come to you, like, and they come to you like, Brett, I want to sell $1 million this year. Right. I mean, how much? I'm trying to figure out the question. There's a certain agent. Like, are there? Do you ever find that there's some agents where you just have to say, I can't.
Yes.
I can't because you can't.
Not.
Or you won't.
That's a good question. And as a real estate team leader, coach, and I know this is true for my peers that I talk to as well. Oftentimes, if someone fails, we pour so much into people. We're like, did we not give them enough?
Right. Yeah.
Did we not help? But you have to emancipate yourself from that and just pour into people and be detached from the outcome. Give your best and intend that they do their best. But accountability is that tether to really help people show up. And I think it's rare for people to have authentic relationships with someone who will hold them accountable. And when I say accountability, I'm talking about a different definition of accountability. What most people have experienced as accountability in their life growing up is somebody poking them in the chest and saying, why didn't you do it?
Right.
Mm-hmm. But when we talk about energy, the word why is a word of judgment, and it shuts people down. If you want to create high performance with people, tension, a goal, a clock, a scoreboard, tension creates performance. Stress shuts people down. Judgment shuts people down. So true accountability is the highest form of love you can show another human being. Mm-hmm. And I say that because if you have a best friend, they hold you accountable. Like, if you went off the rails and were, drinking till the wee hours in the morning, or maybe having an affair, your best friend's going to pull you aside and go, hey, Spencer, dude, what are you doing? Right? And that comes from a place of love, and they're going to call you in line. So that's a definition of accountability we've been trying to cultivate in our company through these peer groups, and it's pretty amazing how people can rise to the occasion. But it's not a cure-all. Some people just still won't put in the work and won't do the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's what I've learned over this whole so far journey in life is that at the end of the day, you can only control yourself.
Yeah.
You cannot control other people. Mm-hmm. And the minute that you realize that, all of the upsetness and the feelings of other people's success, despite your trying to get them there, you can't. You have to just let it go.
Hillary, I have a question for you, actually, because you're one of the founders of Side. It was kind of this audacious idea of this, real estate company, and you were looking at, you came to it as an attorney mm-hmm. into real estate. Did you have limiting beliefs with it at all?
Oh, for sure. The reality is that, how many people in the real estate space want to go on their own, but they either don't have the financial ability, bandwidth, a background, comfortability factor. How do we show people like Brett that, yes, you can own your own company and you can do it with your flavor. You can do it your way. I don't remember which that trademarked, I'm sure, I'm sorry. but it doesn't matter. Like, you do it the way that real estate experts with good vibes, Good Vibe Tribe, and you can do it a different flavor, just not Heaven Skate style.
No, I won't do that. But what I find really interesting about this, from both of you, is you're both coming at it from a place of contribution. Because you're saying, how do I help people do this? And you're saying, how do I help people, both your clients achieve these goals, and how do I help my agents achieve these goals? That's just incredibly inspiring. It's such a good. I mean, there's your lesson right there.
I want to end on something for Brett. Big, hairy, audacious goal. I know you threw out some financial numbers, but let's talk on more of an emotional, spiritual side. Yeah. What do you have in store this year, the next chunk of time, however you want to view it, for yourself and for real estate experts?
There's two levels to the answer to that question. For real estate experts, and actually one leads to the other. For real estate experts, and I don't know what the time horizon is, but the goal is to take these principles of what I call conscious business, really embody them in the business. Because we're doing good, but there's a lot we can do better to be more aligned, integrated, and really embody this Good Vibe Tribe. And my belief is that will help us scale to 10 billion. And when we do, I think I'll have some more meaningful insights to share with the business community. And my goal is to help transform the culture of business, because we got a messed up stuff going on the planet. And in college, one of my classes I took was a philosophy class, and in Plato's Republic, he says, when kings become lovers of wisdom, or lovers of wisdom become kings, then we will have a noble society. Okay, and the kings today are the titans of business. And I think it's a bottom-up, top-down thing. It's transforming the mindset, and it's actually going beyond mindset. It's getting into the space of heart set. And that's the energy of love, and bringing that into business, and at a more higher level, because I think if we do that, we can change the game and change the world. So.
Yes. Let's end it on that. Let's end it on that amazingly high note.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brett. Where can our audience find real estate experts, on social or online?
Yeah, we're just launching a podcast this year. I think the first episode just coming out. It's called The Real Experts. And if you want to see our video blog, it is at bearealexpert.com.
Perfect. I love it.
And if you're a real estate agent listening to this outside of our area, we are in Silicon Valley, so I'll give my shameless plug. If you know anybody moving to or from the San Francisco Bay Area, reach out to us. We'll be happy to help.
I love it. You got to do that. Thank you very much, Brett. Thanks for being on Own It, and thank you, everybody. We'll see you again. And if you want to reach out to Brett, you can always email us at ownit@side.com, and we will see you on the next episode.
Yeah, thank you, Brett.
Thank you, guys. Have a great one.